Hello everyone, in this short video I wanted to express my frustration on this issue with the Gigabyte board. It's a z890 Eagle Wi-Fi 7 and I'm working with a Thunderbolt card that is a Titan Ridge with firmware 50. This is the original firmware for this card. It's a Titan Ridge version 2 and I got into a situation that I never seen, which is the Thunderbolt control center actually sees the card and also sees my Thunderbolt 2 SSD. Roger, this is like a hard drive with an SSD inside, hard drive enclosure from last year. And this is Thunderbolt 2 and it's working. Let's check if I can actually see in the drive. It's formatted in with macOS. So yeah, and it shows up here. So it's actually working as a drive. It's recognized. The arrow is recognized as well on the Thunderbolt control panel, as you can see, but it doesn't show on the universal audio driver, and that is insane. And never seen that on anything like that, because usually Thunderbolt cards from Universal Audio work even if they're not shown here. While, for example, Antelope cards need to be actually properly shown in the Thunderbolt section of the driver here to work with the driver. With Universal Audio, it's not like that, and this also reflects in their Hackintosh compatibility, where Universal Audio devices just work with whatever implementation of Thunderbolt you have, sometimes even without having the proper SSDT for Thunderbolt on the system, while Antelope card actually need a lot more work to actually function and be recognized by the driver. They can show up in the device manager. You can see their PCI address and everything, but they're not working until you actually properly implement the virtualization part of the Thunderbolt interface. Like you actually get the proper DM AR table and something like that. Don't really quote me on that, but that should be the trick. And so yeah, this situation is so fucked up, and I'm so tired of this motherboard, this Gigabyte motherboard. Gigabyte boards used to be the go-to motherboards for Thunderbolt. They had very good compatibility, but I've actually figured out that for some reason it's much better on macOS. I had the same issue, this same situation happened with the Z790 and B760 motherboards, and the same Titan Ridge. Titan Ridge is the last one that supports Thunderbolt 2, so that's why I'm actually need that. Supposedly also Maple Ridge with an older firmware that does support Thunderbolt 2, but I didn't see that working. But yeah, here we are with the I/O ports, and one of the key things to get everything working is to have this Thunderbolt configuration submenu appear on the I/O ports, and this disappears for no reason, randomly. And this is one of the also the terrible things that happen with this kind of setups. And for some reason, this doesn't happen on Hackintosh. Like if you have a properly set up on a EFI folder and you have a flashed Thunderbolt card Titan Ridge, I don't have any client calling back and say, oh, my Thunderbolt stopped working randomly. Well, that happens on Windows. Like Windows setups, sometimes I have to reflash the firmware on the motherboard, like just like I did that with this one. On this motherboard, I was swapping different Thunderbolt cards to figure out the problem with this. Because at some point I was also having at some point on this configuration, like 2 days ago, when I first actually started testing this, everything was working after updating the driver. So at some point I updated the driver to 2023 Thunderbolt version, and everything was working with the Titan Ridge version 2 card, including the card actually showing up in the driver. And then I swapped back to the card to Maple Ridge, and everything broke again. And since then, I had to flash a new firmware to get this card to be recognized again. So this also happens randomly to clients. At some point, for some reason, it doesn't show up anymore on the BIOS, and I have to get a new BIOS flash. And no, resetting the BIOS to defaults and like waiting 15 minutes and pressing the power button while the power is off and the cable is detached, it doesn't work. I have to flash the BIOS again, and this is incredibly stupid. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, about Gigabyte. I'm just not buying the motherboards anymore. I just gave up. Oh, another crazy thing here is that this motherboard also has integrated Thunderbolt, but it stopped working during the testing. Let's see if flashing the BIOS actually saved it. So let's now take out the discrete card and attach the Thunderbolt 3 interface to the Thunderbolt 4 interface on the motherboard. So I actually disconnected the cable here, and I'm gonna now reset by pressing the power button for 15 seconds. Now I have connected the card. I'm gonna plug the system back, turn it on, and get into BIOS and see if I actually have anything related to the integrated Thunderbolt port. Now, what was happening is that the card was actually turning on and off. Let's see if that's still a thing. Well, it's now on, so maybe the BIOS reset did something. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Without going to the BIOS, actually, I forgot about that, but now that we're here, yeah, here it is. Turns off, turn on. It's a boot loop. It's a card loop, and this same card works perfectly on a z890 board from ASRock. So ASRock has better Thunderbolt support than Gigabyte now, and this is insane. What a time to be alive. Yeah, you can hear that. It's booting, rebooting. It's looping. I have no idea if the Thunderbolt controller fried itself. That shouldn't happen with the non-powered card. This card doesn't have power in it, and this Thunderbolt port was never attached to anything that has power. So I don't know how it got fried. That really shows how bad it's got. Here it is. You don't see any Thunderbolt menu here, and yeah, that was the same situation I was in 3 months ago with this same board. I'm not gonna give up, so I'm gonna try again. I don't want to just throw this thing in the trash, because the only value for this board is having Thunderbolt support. Yeah, maybe you get some update, and we'll see. Ciao.